Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Adam McKay's Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby from 2006. As yes, we are back once again, ready to discuss this time around a Will Ferrell Adam McKay film on the channel, and this is the one that I did see quite a few years ago now, and yeah, rewatched this a few days ago, and I would like to discuss this film today. So there will be a spoiler warning for this discussion. If you haven't seen this film, I simply recommend seeing this film first and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments and to hear your opinions on this film. And yeah, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film. So this is the one, yeah, I saw, and I wasn't huge on this film. It was back at the end of 2018, and you know, I saw this, and around the time I saw various other Adam McKay films, you know, including Anchorman, and it's really interesting because this film, with the narrative and some of the characters and stuff, and the themes are very similar to Anchorman. It's kind of like a spiritual sequel, really, if you look at it in a certain way, and it's very similar at times to that film. And yeah, it's really quite interesting, being a NASCAR, you know, kind of a comedy, and obviously Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, their first kind of team up before Step Brothers, obviously, as well, and which, you know, I love. And yeah, this one it's a very unique film. You know, I find it to be, rewatching it, you know, it's definitely a film that I enjoyed much more than I did first time round. And you know, I think first time I was thinking, yeah, it's kind of alike, but it's very bare bones. It kind of falls a bit more into the mediocre mark, close to it at least, and it's just bang on average. This time round, you know, I enjoyed it straight away way more, and you know, I think especially the first half an hour and some of the final act, you know, I just really enjoyed at times. And you know, I think just it's, you know, a really funny film, and it's got, you know, a few things to say as well, and you know, I guess I say very similar to Anchorman at times, and you know, I think that's definitely a film that I enjoy a lot more. But it's cool to see this different setting and change of locations, and a different kind of tone at times. You know, we have obviously the NASCAR, you know, kind of intense, you know, kind of you know, feeling here, and we have obviously Will Ferrell playing Ricky Bobby, and you know, he's someone who is number one, you know, as a driver, and you know, essentially one of the main messages of the film being, you know, he is just at first just cares about winning. That's all he cares about, and you know, he kind of goes through this kind of change, and he learns to care about other things as well, and to find a nice, healthy kind of you know, friendly balance, you know, with his family and his friends and all this kind of stuff, and to care about, you know, your passions, but not to be so just only concerned with winning all the time. And yeah, it's a nice film in the way it's done. You know, I find, and it's got some really hilarious moments, you know, around the NASCAR kind of scenarios. And definitely my favourite part of the film, my favourite aspect, is the first act. And you know, I think the first sort of 30 minutes of the film is really the strongest part. And once again, I was really laughing at this, and even more so this time around. Some really hilarious kind of moments here, and you know, I just really like the kind of friendship that John C. Reilly playing Cal and you know, Will Ferrell have, you know, in this film. And I think just that kind of team up and the way they were best buddies kind of thing at first, that's really when the film is at its most enjoyable for me personally. And we have Michael Clarke Duncan as well in this film. You know, he is just great, and you know, I love the kind of the camaraderie he has as well with them. And you know, I think just when all these characters are kind of together, and you know, Leslie Bibb as well, you know, it's kind of the nice kind of funny family scenes and all this. You know, I think that's when a film is consistently at its best. I don't think it ever quite, you know, lives up to the first act of the film. We have obviously Cal, as we know, kind of going off, and the friendship starts to dissipate, you know, after that first act. And at one point, of course, you know, for the rest of the film, they're kind of enemies, you know, rivals in a sense. And you know, he gets with, you know, Will Ferrell's wife, and you know, all this kind of stuff very, very quickly, and it is a bit too silly at times in that sense, and it does take away though from the enjoyment, you know, of just them all together. And I don't think the film, you know, with the writing and everything, comes up with enough scenarios that's as charming as it could have been for when they're separated. And I just think it loses a bit of steam with the narrative, and it kind of grinds to a halt at times. And we have various scenes that are kind of going on in the middle, which, you know, are good in themselves, you know, kind of funny scenes at times, but it's not really allowing the narrative to kind of consistently develop in the way, you know, that I'm, you know, as invested in. And you know, I think things come together in the final act, you know, and once again, these two friends, they get back together, and but I think it's just not quite, you know, not quite as believable. It kind of just felt like by that point, you know, John C. Reilly's Cal was a bit of a different character, and it wasn't really the same kind of feeling I got, you know, from the first half an hour. And you know, I think just some of the supporting characters again, you know, and the cast members are really good at times, you know, I think, and it's just some really good scenes here and there, you know, throughout the film. But you know, it's just something about the narrative that doesn't, you know, in that sense, kind of live up to the first act, and the whole kind of Formula One, you lifestyle. Sacha Baron Cohen comes into the film as well on point. He kind of becomes the villain after the first act, and kind of rivals against obviously Ricky Bobby and Will Ferrell, and I did enjoy some moments of Sacha Baron Cohen towards the end of the film. But one of the things I'm not big on is this villain. I just think it was a bit too kind of one note, and the whole kind of it's mainly just about the accent, and it's just a bit too much, a bit too silly. They went too far, I think, with this. It just wasn't that funny for me personally, and it was just a bit irritating actually throughout the film. I just never really enjoyed this kind of rivalry between the two, kind of characters here, and really when they were on screen together, just something lacking, and it was a bit, as I say, the irritating villain took away from my experience of the film consistently, at times. But what I did enjoy was Gary Cole and Jane Lynch, as the mother and father of course, Ricky Bobby, and I enjoyed just the kind of the story with them and how things came together in the end. They kind of saw each other again, and it was a bit more of a kind of warm thread throughout the film, and the start as well, when we have the kind of prologue with Ricky Bobby as a kid. That was really funny, and Gary Cole in this film was just really consistently enjoyable, and I think just the kind of father-son dynamic that was really complex, and the way that was done throughout the film was just really good, and so some supporting characters and threads that were definitely some highlights after that first act. It's just kind of the main narrative at times, just with some of the rivalry of the villains and all this kind of stuff. It wasn't really for me, and so it's definitely a mixed bag at times, as we go throughout the middle of the film. But the final act, I thought it was brought together quite well, and I thought it was quite tense. I really liked how Amy Adams, the kind of former assistant of Will Ferrell's character Ricky Bobby, she kind of got with Will Ferrell, and it's kind of this romance developed, and he didn't kind of end up with Carly in the end, and he got with Amy Adams, of course, and I think that was really well done, the way that kind of developed throughout the film, and it's just really enjoyable, and Amy Adams is really good in this film. I think John C. Reilly was hilarious at times in this film, and definitely quite a few of the cast members were, including of course Will Ferrell, but some of the supporting characters were just not given enough to kind of really truly shine at times in the film. But Michael Clarke Duncan, David Koechner in this film, supporting characters, I think consistently throughout the film they were hilarious, and they got the kind of kind of moments in the script that allowed them to really be as funny as they could have been, and it's great to see David Koechner again with Will Ferrell, and I think John C. Reilly being the first of their pairings was really cool to see again, and definitely some potential that this film could have been better in places, with the comedy and just some of these cast members, and I think that the narrative and what was in the script unfortunately kind of held back just from some of the consistently in the film, some of the kind of possible scenarios that could have really made this even better, and I think just John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell, when they are on screen together and they're more friends in the film, I think that's when the film is at its best, and I think just the kind of satire, the parody moments, first was so effective, and I think it did have some real kind of highlights in the film. A bit in the middle, we have Michael Clarke Duncan and Will Ferrell as well in the hospital and stuff, and Will Ferrell kind of gets the knife in his leg and screams. That is just absolutely hilarious, and one of the favourite moments for me of the film, and just into the final act, there's some really funny moments again, and it's quite just an effective kind of satire, I think, at times. And it is quite an inspiring film as well. At the same time we have the kind of to keep pursuing your dreams, of course, but not to kind of just care about winning in that sense. The films would suggest, and of course care about your family and friends as well, at the same time, and just to kind of enjoy life. And I think it's a really nice message in the way it's done at times, and just the way it comes together is really cool. Amy Adams, Will Ferrell getting together, and Gary Cole coming back into it a bit more, and just some really nice moments in the final scenes. And I think one of the things is this is definitely as well too long though for what it is. I understand. I watched the extended cut, and that's the only one I had access to on the Blu-ray, and doesn't come with the kind of original theatrical cut, but still over 100 minutes. It's a bit too long in places just for what this film is. It's a bit drawn out, and certainly with the extended cut, I think you can kind of see where some of the moments were a bit more improv, and I think just could have been left out of the film, but in that extended cut especially, that was a bit of an issue. But regardless of all that, the original version, it is still a bit drawn out in places. Some of the sequences I'm aware of, that weren't just in the extended cuts, just kind of going a bit too long and not necessarily needed for the narrative. But you know, it's just some small things there. It's just it's fine. I kind of take that. Overall, it's definitely a solid film, and one that I do at times really enjoy. And you know, I think just overall the experience, it was, you know, a really nice experience, and I had, you know, a much better time with this one than first watch. You know, at the end of 2018, you know, it's month of December, I believe, and yeah. I had, you know, it was an okay time, but I wasn't, you know, big on the film then, and much better now, you know, watching it again. You know, I just had a really nice time, and yeah, it was really, you know, just charming, you know, funny film, and you know, really effective film at times. Some things I'm not big on, you know, like the villain and some of the narrative choices, you know, in the middle of the film, the way different characters kind of separate, just the nature of how it's done, and you know, some of the enjoyability factor kind of goes down, you know, after that, but it does pick up again in the end, and definitely throughout some hilarious moments, you know, in the narrative, and just different characters, interactions, and just yeah, funny moments. Adam McKay, Will Ferrell was definitely, you know, a really good script at times, and you know, I think it's well directed, and Adam McKay's appearance was quite funny as well towards the beginning of the film. So overall, my rating for this film is a 70%. So definitely a really solid film overall, and you know, I think just it's got some inspiring moments. It's got, you know, really hilarious sequences and aspects to the film. You know, it's a very effective at times satire and kind of a parody on this kind of NASCAR experience, lifestyle, and just especially the, you know, in the first half, you know, of the film, there's some real funny moments with Will Ferrell, and just the whole kind of the ego he has and all this, and around the table as well with his family, and that's some of my favourite aspects of the film. The first 30 minutes consistently was the best for me personally, but I think, you know, throughout the film there's some real funny sequences, moments, and character interactions that I really enjoyed, and I think in the end it did come together really nicely. So there we go. That's my thoughts on this film. What do you think? It'd be really great to hear, you know, your thoughts in the comments. You know, to kind of share your experience with this film, and how does it compare for you to different, you know, Adam McKay films, and as well Will Ferrell comedies, John C. Reilly, all this kind of stuff. Let's discuss in the comments. It would be really great, and yeah, I just really did enjoy this film a lot more than the first time round, and just a lot of legendary cast members here, and yeah, definitely cool to see this again, and you know, it was a really just a nice experience, you know, kind of watching this film. As I say, it'd be great to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss this film and all things cinema. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.